Hi, it's Lucy, and today I'm here to do my May TBR. Yes, I am aware, May is almost half over. Mind your business. So, in the month of May, I am planning to have already started taking part in 2 events. The first being the 5th season read-along, slow read-along kind of thing that is being hosted by Chloe from Thistle and Verse. I made a community post about this because I expected my TBR video to be coming later. So you can check out that community post. I called it the 5th season read-along, but it's the Broken Earth Trilogy read-along. Just this month in May, we're reading the 5th season. There are reading sprints every weekend, starting I think this weekend. I don't know when I'm gonna post this video, but by now there should be reading sprints every weekend where we will discuss and read the books. Like I said, the month of May is for the 5th season. If you have not heard about it and you're just starting, you still have time to catch up. Or if you've already read the 5th season, but you haven't read the rest of the trilogy, which is where I am, you can join us in June where we'll be reading the 2nd book. If you want more details, like I said, there will be links down below to Chloe's announcement video and also the Discord that we're using if you want to discuss further in like real time. And that's that on that. So the first book on my TBR for this month will be the 5th season. I am rereading it. I got the audiobook from my library. I read it physically the first time. Well, actually I read it on ebook, but to me those are the same way of consuming it, I think. Yeah, I read it with my eyes last time, so I'm gonna listen to it this time, see what I can glean from it. I'm gonna hopefully enjoy talking about it with other people because the series feels like it has like a lot of depth to it. So I'm looking forward to being able to discuss that with other people. And if you are intimidated by it for any reason or anything like that, this is your perfect opportunity. So I would encourage you to join us. The second event is the Asian Readathon, which takes place every month during the month of May, which is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It's hosted by Read with Cindy. She has made a whole bunch of information in case you haven't heard of it somehow. I've also taken part in this for the past 2 years since it has arisen. So if you want more information about that, then there will be, once again, links down below. My full TBR for the readathon will be towards the end of the video. That's how I like to structure my TBRs. If you're new here, there are timestamps down below if you would like to skip around, I guess. But I talk about the books I'm currently reading, arcs that I have, random picks, and then the rest of my TBR. So that's what I usually do. So that will be at the end. So I think that's it for an intro. Hi, it's Editing Lucy. I wanted to insert this clip into this video because I didn't get to speak about it. But I just want it to be known that I'm not ignoring what's happening with Israel and Palestine. If you are unaware of what's happening, I will do my best to leave resources down below. There's one in particular that I found really helpful that goes into the history of how this kind of came to be, because I personally did not know a lot about Israel and Palestine before. The brief idea of what's going on is basically that Israel is now taking steps towards, or is already starting, basically a genocide of the Palestinian people. They have already bombed several parts of Palestine. They are removing Palestinians from their homes in favor of putting Israeli people in them. And yeah, so it's obviously not looking good. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, provide resources that I can from my research, what I understand of what is going on. The best thing that I can do, and anyone else who lives in the US, is to contact our government representatives and encourage them and let them know that the people want them to stop supporting Israel through our military. And so I will also try and leave information about how to do that down below as well, but I just wanted to insert this clip in here in case anyone is unaware. So let's get into all the books that I'm planning to read the rest of the month. Some of these books I may or may not have already read. Anyway, the books that I'm currently reading are The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. I actually do own a hard copy of this. I just left it in the other room and I'm attached to my mic now, so I don't want to go get it. So here's a picture. But yes, I read the first short story in this collection and then I haven't read another one. I don't know exactly why. I think it's a little bit, I'm a Leigh Bardugo'd out. If you don't know, I have been rereading like all of Leigh Bardugo's books. I did individual reading vlogs for all the ones that I've read so far. And the Shadow and Bone show came out, which, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I'm still planning to do a video talking about it, even though I guess the hype is over, but it's not over. But yeah, it's still living rent-free in my brain, the TV show. But the actual reading of the books, I think I just need a little bit of a break. So I am going to keep reading this because it is a little different, but it's not as good as The Language of Thorns, which I did read last month, which I will talk about eventually. But I really like that one. The first story wasn't as good as that whole collection, so I just kind of been putting it off. But hopefully this month I can finish it. I'm also currently reading Switch by A.S. King. I'm about 20% through this book. The synopsis for this is very weird. I originally read the synopsis from Goodreads out loud in last month's TBR video, I think. A.S. King is known for her like fabulous elements in her stories, and this one is no exception. This takes place in the world, in like our world, but time has stopped. So, but the world keeps going, so they made up like fake time, but time isn't really going. And then we follow our main character as she's like living her life right now, and she's also dealing with like some family stuff, I think, and that's where I'm at so far. There's once again no reason I haven't finished this yet, but I haven't finished it. I believe this came out already. I want to say May 6th. I could be lying. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's out already. So, and speaking of ARCs, next we have the advanced readers copies that I would like to get to this month. If you don't know, advanced readers copies are books that publishers send my way so that I can read and review them, preferably before publication date. So like last month, I was trying to get ahead on my ARCs because I actually didn't have any ARCs for April. So that was helpful, even though I didn't completely finish getting ahead. So Switch is left over from last month, and that came out in May. And I have one other one that comes out in May, and then the next two come out in June. So first we have Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan. I did talk about this in last month's CBR, so I won't go through the synopsis right now. Some Girls Do comes out on May 16th, which might have already happened by now. Sorry. Better Together by Christine Riccio. This comes out on June 1st. This is Christine Riccio's sophomore novel. You might know her from her booktube channel, Poland Bananas Books. I actually read her first book, Again But Better, when it came out also as an ARC. I didn't love that book, but I thought that the writing style, I could enjoy a different one of Christine's books, so I was looking forward to her second book. I'm not sure if I needed an ARC, but you know, NetGalley, if you're a reviewer, you know how it gets on NetGalley, you know, you just kind of black out and then suddenly you have all these ARCs. So I have it. Better Together is described as Freaky Friday meets The Parent Trap, which sounds interesting to me. We follow two girls who end up going to the same Rediscover Yourself retreat, where they meet and figure out that they are sisters who were torn apart at a young age by their parents' volatile divorce, hence the Parent Trap vibes. And so they hatch a plot to switch places so they can meet their estranged parents, but then the Freaky Friday plot, I guess, comes in, and somehow magically they end up actually looking like each other, because I don't think they're actually twins in this. So we just follow the plot of them seeing how the other half lives, I guess, and we'll see where it goes. We're about to be joined maybe by my bigger cat, my newer cat, I guess. He's just hit the tripod. Will he make it? Will he make it up here? I don't know. Let's find out. Are you coming? Everyone say hi to Thor. How are you doing? Do you like your new camera appearance? Okay, bye-bye. Sorry about that. Clearly, I am easily distracted by cats. Yes. Bye-bye. And the last arc I want to mention in this video is This Poisoned Heart by Kaylin Bayron. I read Kaylin Bayron's first book, Cinderella is Dead. Last year, I actually did a spoiler-free review in case you're interested. It will be linked down below. So I'm excited to read her second book because I enjoyed that one. This one is slightly different. It's a contemporary fantasy instead of a high fantasy, I guess, would be the last one. We follow Briseis, or Briseis, I'm not sure how to say it, who has a gift where she can grow tiny seeds to rich blossoms with a single touch. When her aunt dies and leaves her dilapidated estate in rural New York, her family decides to leave Brooklyn for the summer and go stay there. And hopefully there, surrounded by plants and flowers, Bree will finally be able to learn how to control her power. But their new home is sinister in ways they couldn't have imagined. It comes with a specific set of instructions, an old school apothecary, and a walled garden filled with the deadliest botanicals in the world. that can only be entered by those who share Bree's unique family lineage. And when strangers begin appearing at their door asking for tinctures and elixirs, Bree discovers she has a surprising gift for that too. However, when Bree befriends one of her mysterious young visitors, she realizes that her new friend is keeping dark secrets about the history of the estate, and a nefarious group comes after her in search of a rare and dangerous immortality elixir. Up against a centuries-old curse and the deadliest plant on Earth, Bree must harness her gift to protect herself and her family. So I'm very interested in reading that. That sounds very interesting to me. Next, we have my random picks. This is the part of my TBR where I use a random number generator and or your comments to pick books randomly from my Goodreads TBR for me to read. In the month, I pick 3 books and I try to read 1 this year because I am, in theory, trying to get my own TBR down. I only pick books from my own TBR. I realize that now that I forgot to update you on the number that my TBR is at, but it's definitely higher than it was last month. We'll talk about it in June. The first random pick is Twisted, The Tangled History of Black Hair Culture by Emma DeBerry. This is what the title sounds like. Emma DeBerry takes us through the history of Black hairstyles, Black hair, the culture surrounding Black hair, and I think she also does it while doing sort of a memoir style of her own personal history with her hair, and so it sounds interesting to me. I am looking forward to reading it, but I'm not sure it will be my pick this month. Next, for my random picks, we have All Systems Red, which is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. This follows a robot named Murderbot, I think in the future. I really should have looked up the synopsis for this one specifically, but somehow we have robots in space, and this robot exists to like do things we need robots to do in space, but all this robot wants to do is sit and watch TV. It just wants to be left alone and watch TV. So it's supposed to be really funny and interesting, and I am looking forward to reading this. It's also a novella, so I might get to it, but I'm not sure. The book that I will most likely be picking up from my random picks is Symptoms of a Heartbreak by Sona Charapotra. If the name sounds familiar, Sona Charapotra is the co-author for Tiny Pretty Things along with Danielle Clayton. So I have been interested in reading some of her solo work, and I think this was on like Kindle for 99 cents, $1.99, something like that. That's how they always get me. Those Kindle sales always get me. This is a contemporary, but set in a different world because this follows the youngest doctor in America, a 16-year-old named Syra. We follow her as she arrives for her first day on the job, treating children with cancer. She's always had to balance family and friendships with her celebrity as the girl genius, but she's never had to prove herself to adult coworkers before now. And working in the same hospital as her mother isn't making things easier. Something that makes things even harder is when she accidentally falls in love with a patient that she's treating, a cute teen boy who was diagnosed with cancer. And when she risks her brand new career to up his chances, it could cost her everything. So it sounds really interesting. It's described as a romantic comedy, so I think the cancer element isn't like super heartbreaking, if that makes sense, hopefully, if it's described as a romantic comedy. And this also bleeds into my Asian Readathon TBR because Sona Charapotra is Southeast Asian. This book would count for my Asian Readathon TBR. I'm gonna go through the prompts and tell you what books I'm planning to read for them. First, we have any book by an Asian author. This is obviously the easiest prompt, and any of the following books that I pick can be used for that prompt. You are allowed to double up on challenges, which I do plan on doing. Any of the books can be this, so I haven't picked a specific book for it. Read any book written by an Asian author in your favorite genre. This is where I'll be using Symptoms of a Heartbreak specifically because my favorite genre is contemporary and it is a contemporary book. Read any book featuring an Asian protagonist. Once again, this probably works for most of the books I'm going to mention, but specifically I chose The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Neve Vo. I have actually already read this book. I won't give any spoilers to how I'm feeling about it, even though really I should because I've been so behind on my wrap-ups lately, but I won't, even though it's also on Goodreads if you really care that much. But this, how do I describe this? This is hard to describe. This is a high fantasy book where we follow a cleric who meets an old woman named Rabbit who starts telling them about her time as a handmaiden for the emperor's lonely wife when Rabbit was younger. And I think that's all I can tell you. This is a novella, so there's only so much I can say without spoiling it. Read any nonfiction book by an Asian author. Goodbye Again by Johnny Sun. I actually received this from the publisher for an Instagram post I did a while ago, and now I'm excited to read it. It's essays, reflections, and illustrations. It kind of has the vibe of a memoir that I like, so I'm looking forward to reading it. And I read Johnny Sun's previous book, Everyone's an Alien If You're an Alien Too, and I thought that was really cute, and so I'm looking forward to this more fleshed out, I guess, style. Or not fleshed out, but this is just more his thoughts rather than being told through a vehicle of story. Did that make sense? I hope so. Read any book by an Asian author that's not US centric. If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know how many times I've pulled this book out. I think this was on my TBR last Asian readathon. I keep saying I'm gonna read it, and then what happens? I don't read it. I don't know why. I haven't even opened it to say that I didn't enjoy it, didn't like it, not enjoying it or anything. I just never pick it up. So I have to pick it up. I'm picking it up. I know I said it last time that I was definitely gonna read it, but this time I'm definitely gonna read it. And if I don't read it, I don't know, do something, sue me, something, I don't know. And then I have 3 extra books. Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars by Kai Cheng Tom. I will read you the Goodreads synopsis. Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars, a dangerous trans girl's confabulous memoir by Kai Cheng Tom, is a highly sensational, ultra exciting, sort of true coming-of-age story of a young Asian trans girl, pathological liar, and kung fu expert who runs away from her parents' abusive home in a rainy city called Gloom. I feel like that's all you need to hear to know why I'm interested in reading this. Also, look at that cover. So this is like, I believe, a semi-autobiographical story about Kai's childhood growing up after probably running away from her parents' abusive home, likely because she was a trans girl. I am looking forward to reading this. Hopefully I make time for it this month. Once again, look at the cover. I love it. The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. I do also own a copy of this, but once again, I left it in the other room. I'm really doing badly here. This is a high fantasy novel where we follow a girl who has bone magic, which is kind of feared in her community, the type of magic that's least common, it appears. But then she's sent away to train with a bone witch, and she like starts coming into her powers, and then the kingdom, I believe, comes under fire, or maybe they start fighting with each other. If I had the book with me, I would look at the synopsis, but I could look it up on my phone, but I am tired of filming, I'm sorry. But it sounds interesting, and maybe I'll read it this month. Hopefully, we'll see. And lastly, we have This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. I really enjoyed Misa Sugiura's other book that I've read. It's not like it was a secret. This one is in a similar vein in that it's a contemporary where we follow a Japanese-American family, but in this one, we follow as the main character's family decides to sell their flower shop to the family that ended up swindling theirs when her grandparents were sent to the Japanese internment camps during World War II. And so it starts a huge rift within their family and their community. And for the first time, the main character has found something she wants to fight for. So those are all the books that I wanted to mention in this video. I feel like this video took longer than I planned it to, but yes, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. In the comments down below, leave me a number between 1 and 100 for my next month's random picks. Also, let me know what you've read so far in May, what you're planning to read in the rest of May, any other commentary you have for my channel, I guess. I don't know. Anything you think about any of these books, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!